Good evening. Welcome to United Stand. I am your host, Jay Daly. I'm here tonight with three exceptional gentlemen. Mr. Kevin Ashford, bottom left-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner, Alex, my man Alex, and my fellow rugby supporter and the other Jay in the stand, Jordan Valleys. How's it going, Jordan? How you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. Good.
Up for the first 80 minutes, gentlemen, we were outfought, outclassed, outmanned, outthought, outplayed, and every out you can think of. And had it not been for Alanga's clinical goal and Albeck's poor positioning, we'd be here bemoaning an away loss to a very poor, I think, Atleti side, languishing fifth in La Liga, have conceded 34 goals that were there for the taking. But I think tonight, from the off, I think the tone was set in the first 2 minutes when Lindelof pulled off that wonder block. I think the tone was set. We were on the cosh for a lot of that game. We had possession. I think if that came up after 25 minutes, we had it says here in my notes 67% possession versus 33. But it's possession without penetration. The usual sidewards backward passing. And our manager, Mr. Radnick, has said he doesn't like sidewards or backwards passing. But tonight, I saw a lot of it. It seems to me tonight, guys, we were like the proverbial animal in the headlights. Was the occasion too big for us? Or was it a case, was there fatigue had set in since Sunday? I don't know. We discussed that. Or is it a case, gentlemen, that we're simply not good enough for this stage? Jordan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the last time I was on, we give our score predictions. And I said I thought it'd be 1-1. I thought we'd concede and then pull a goal back later on. So the result wasn't necessarily a surprise, but however, it was still just as painful sitting there and watching it. And before Alanga scored, you make notes about what your feelings are at each moment during the game. And I was just literally losing the will to live, guys. Like, we are just not good enough. And Ragnick, the team selection, we always say you live by the sword, you die by it. He should have been ballsy enough to drop Maguire and start a proper right back. And wasn't. And what happens, Maguire is one of the reasons why we concede that goal. So again, things just keep happening time and time again, and we've got to learn from them. Rashford shouldn't have started the game. You see Alanga come on, he's lively and wants to make things happen. Jay, I'm sure you would have made a note of the minute where Rashford just took a wayward shot. He didn't himself think that he was going to hit the target. You talk about hit and hope. That was just hit, no hope. And it's just painful. It is painful to watch. But we've got the result. We've got a draw. We get to take them to our place and hopefully turn up. I think that the run of results going into it, we always said that the February games weren't the toughest of games. And we look at beating Leeds. We can't take any confidence from beating Leeds and expect to go to Atletico Madrid and get a result. That didn't fill me with confidence. Leeds are absolutely dreadful. Liverpool stuck six on them tonight. So that says it all. But we've managed to get our jail card. We're 1-1 in the halfway in the tie. We can take them to Old Trafford and hopefully put them to the sword.
Jordan, I agree with every word you said there. So you're spot on your analysis. But yet, the fans, if they believe the social media account of the club, I think the club put out 30 plus tweets after the Leeds game, espousing great victory, come from behind win, yada, 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 against a very poor Leeds team. I suppose the fans that may not be as tactically aware, tactically astute of what's happening on the pitch would look at that Leeds result and say, okay, we have a chance tonight against Atleti, and would also have been thinking if they show the same fight against Leeds, against Atleti, that we might actually get a win. But tonight, Jordan, for 80 minutes, I didn't see it. The phrase I used, listless. It's the phrase I used under Ole. And the similarities how we play under Ole are very similar with Ralph. And I know we have a manager that we've lauded as been tactically astute, being one of the most forward-thinking coaches in world football. But tonight, mate, team selection, I was miffed. To select Maguire and then shoehorn Lindelof in just so you can play Maguire sparks for me. And Kevin, I want you to discuss this for me. Of a manager that, does he have the power to drop our 80 million superstar unlike you, superstar, very, very likely, or super centre back? Or does he think, well, he's my captain, I'm the manager, direct quote, and I've got to play him? Kevin, what do you think?
I think he is definitely stuck with it. It's the reason that I've always said when Rangnick took over, he should have changed the captaincy. I think a change of manager, you have your own ideas and your idea of who you want to be the manager and the player to lead this club. I think he's kind of made a rod for his own back in a way, and it's something that we have to deal with. Now, if you're asking me if I think should Harry Maguire be the captain, no. Do I think he should be a first teamer? Certainly not. I think that was evident today. I thought defensively wise to come out so slow out the blocks, the way he gets caught on the wrong side of Joao Felix, and it's just typical Harry Maguire all over for me. As regards to the game, I'll give you my thoughts very quickly. At half-time, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking we should be more or less dead and buried.
I think we've lost
Sorry.
Kevin there. You're back. You're back in the room, Kevin. Back in the room.
Sorry, I'm having internet issues here. A few gremlins in the system. When the team was actually announced, I'm looking and I'm thinking Lindelof right back. Seriously, and then I think right. Well, it obviously shows what kind of faith he has in our right backs to pick Lindelof. But he did play well at the weekend, so you kind of roll with that. And at halftime, again, I thought we were very, very lucky to be in the game. The manager has made decisions. He's got it right again. Bring it.
Okay, so Alex, I'm going to go to you. I think we should go in depth into the first goal. We kind of half cleared the ball from the header. Fred sprints out, loses footing. When maybe Fred should have tucked back and not been so eager to get out, loses footing, does up the cross, and then, as Kevin was saying, Maguire's caught the wrong side of Joao Felix, one of the smallest players in the pitch. Rio Ferdinand said in his post-match that for a player Maguire that's almost using his arms. We've seen the stills of games where Maguire's kind of hands-on pulling and dragging. Why didn't Maguire make himself bigger to make Joao Felix have to run around him? So the smallest player in the pitch wins a header against our captain that was stood as motionless as the Statue of Liberty. Do you want to discuss the goal there, Alex?
Yeah, it was just a lack of anticipation, it seemed. And I think it happened again later in the game that we were just aware that the commentators were trying to make out like it was a brilliant Atletico shot. And then when you see the replay, it actually bounced off Lindelof, the one that hit the bar. But it was just slow reaction times yet again. And with Maguire, he is better than what he's playing like. I don't know, but we're clearly seeing that you're not going to be able to play him into any form. And like to touch on what you were talking about with Kevin earlier, it has to do with the captaincy and the price tag is the only thing I can think. It's because how many clangers and mistakes does he have to cost us until he gets dropped? Like we know Varane is first choice. That is undisputed with everyone. So it's just about getting the right partner for Varane. And like Lindelof, you say the other day played really well against Leeds, and then we knew that he would be dropped as a centre back, dropped for this game, and it's just I don't know what it's going to take for Maguire to get dropped. I wasn't as against Lindelof starting at right back as much as everyone else was, because like I said, I expected Maguire to play, and in a massive game like this we can't afford mistakes. I don't really trust Wan-Bissaka at the moment, and I don't trust Delo. So from a defensive standpoint in a game like this, so I wasn't against Lindelof, and like you said, he didn't play that badly either. But he has a good pass in him. He showed against Leeds that he can take the ball out as well. Obviously, it's not his natural position, but I think at Benfica he did play there quite a few times as well. Played it right back. But overall, like the defending, we knew we weren't going to keep a clean sheet. But the way I look at it, it was a terrible performance, but a great result, because after like 70 minutes, I was happy with just taking a 1-0 defeat away from home and bringing that back to Old Trafford and then building upon that. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I put out a tweet that when Ralph brought on the three subs, it was Matic, it was Tellez, and
Wan-Bissaka.
Wan-Bissaka, I tweeted out that Ralph was clearly protecting the 1-0 loss to bring the 1-0 back to Manchester. And I was looking at it thinking, okay, that's lovely, Ralph, but why and how the hell is Marcus Rashford still on the goddamn pitch? It seems every time I see Marcus Rashford play 75 minutes, he has a worse game he has before. And you were saying off air, Alex, about Rashford having that shot from 35 yards. I was like, what the hell are you at, mate?
Yeah, that was absolutely shocking. That's what I said earlier. Like, there's hit and hope, and then there's just hit. You know, I don't know what's happened to him. And Alex made a point there about Maguire. You clearly can't play him into form because we've tried that. And I think Rashford's in a similar position. He's just not getting any better. You know, and there's Elanga breathing down his neck. There's other players on that bench that should be given an opportunity. For me, guys, he shouldn't be starting games for us. He really needs to have a think about, you know, what he's going to do. And part of this building process that a new manager is going to have when they come into the club in the summer. For me, Rashford's one of those players they need to look at and make a decision because he's holding up a first team position in that squad. I don't think he offers us anywhere near enough.
Agreed, and it's a point that Mark has often made on his own daily shows, that how much has Rashford developed since he burst on the scene?
He's regressed.
He burst on the scene under Van Gaal because we had such an injury crisis. But that injury crisis was exacerbated because Van Gaal, in his wisdom, sold Van Persie and sold Chicharito. So I think Rooney got injured, and we had no one to bring on. And Rashford burst on the scene. So, as you said there, Alex, he's regressed since then. And I said in a couple of shows as well that I think defenders now have found Rashford out, and that they really have. So the jury's out. If, say, you get in argument, okay, the fans' favourite Ten Hag comes in June or July, and let's take as an example, or Conte, we'll see. Do you think they'd fancy a player like Rashford that is so brain dead when it comes to making, I'm saying, football decisions? His football decisions, his football IQ, it's been proven time and time again. When he should pick the easy option, he'll go for the hardest option, and the option that he goes for ends up in rows out of the stand, which he shot tonight, or his cross can't beat the first defender, or as Kevin almost says, he runs down a blind alley and the defender will block him and it goes out for a goal kick. That's you, mate.
Sorry.
That's you, mate.
Yeah, I just have no clue what's happened to him. Like you say, his decision making. I defended him on the show so many times last season, saying, "Oh, it's the injuries, and once he comes back from injury, we'll see the best from him." But it's just not happening like that. He can't blame it on not being fit anymore. It's like it's just he didn't get like a brain injury or whatever. It's the decision making that's the constant worry. He still has that electric pace, as we saw a couple times today, but he just does so many stupid mistakes. Like that shot, I was going mental when he did that. It's like he didn't even really have a sight of the goal when he did it. Just instantly got the ball, didn't even look, just blasted it like 30 meters over the bar. It's like, what are you playing at in such an important game? Like, just losing possession constantly. And like, if we were to get a manager like a Ten Hag in who plays that sort of like possession-based football, he'll love a player like Sancho who can like hold on to the ball and stuff. But Rashford hasn't got a hope in hell of playing in this team with like that. And it wouldn't surprise me if Martial has a good time at Sevilla. So Martial was the sort of player that Ten Hag probably would like with him, because he doesn't really do these stupid brain dead decisions as well like Rashford. And it's a real shame because Rashford did have a lot of potential, and like what I said about him regressing when he first burst onto the scene, and like a few seasons after, he's done well. And then like statistically, like last season he had like his best ever season, but just he'd cover up bad performances with an assist or a goal. But then now he's not assisting, he's not scoring, and he's doing these awful things. And it's like, it's another one like with Maguire, that it's like he's a lot better than this, but I don't see him getting back to being good again, because like what Jordan said about the playing him into form as well, like Maguire, we've given him so many chances and he's not improving.
Like, I would argue tonight, that team selection, we basically started with 9 men. Maguire, for me, and Rashford shouldn't have been on the pitch, irrespective of being captain, irrespective of the club's They love their social media boys, irrespective of being favorites of the board or whatever. You pick like in any job, like Jordan, you run your own business. You put the best person in place to do the best job for you. And also, like Jordan, you run a very, very successful business. You're not an expert in everything. So people that know more than you in certain areas, they're experts, you put them into the area and let them do their job. That makes your business make a profit and make money. But football is the same. You put the best person at the time on form into the position they can play best in. It's not rocket science. Like, it doesn't take somebody to have a UEFA Pro license tonight, think, right, Alanga's in form. He's going to run his legs off against a very physical Atletico Madrid side. He's going to get up and down that line for me all night. He will do the simple things. He'll do it well. He'll hold the ball up when he has to hold it up. He won't make any silly shots or crosses. He will do simple things well. Marcus doesn't do the simple things well. And football, it's a very simple game. You do simple things well over and over again. The team develops synergy, and ultimately you create more high percentage chances around the box. We were taking shots tonight from 25, 30 yards. Like, I think Ronaldo had a shot there in the first half that Ronaldo in his prime probably wouldn't have scored. And every time Ronaldo got the ball, he was coming deep to get the ball. And very often then there was 2 or 3 Atleti defenders around Ronaldo. And I see a lot of people tonight tweeting about Ronaldo saying, oh, Ronaldo's washed up, he's this and that. But Ronaldo 37, your job is you're a goal poacher, getting into the crosses and through balls, not be coming into midfield looking for the ball. And if you got 3 Atletico defenders around you, you're not going to do anything. So Kevin's back, so it's great. I'm going to have Kevin back now. So tonight, guys, the midfield of Herrera and the other chap, what's his name? It was Kedabia. It's Kedabia or Kedok. I'm probably making an art in front. Kondogbia. Hey, okay, Alex, we're going to go with Kondogbia. We're going to go with Kondogbia, right? Okay, Alex, I don't care. It sounds good. We're going to go with Kondogbia and Herrera, right? Because I made a balls of that. I never wrote in front of me. But their midfield tonight, they didn't create many chances, but there was almost synergy between switching the ball from very simple, the back 4 to midfield to the attack, their limited attack. But there was almost a game plan. But our midfield, even though we had Pogba and Bruno, like I love Bruno. Never Pogba, Pamba, I love Bruno. Bruno tonight, barring the assist for Elanga, Bruno was terrible. He really was. We see Pogba getting hooked off in a away game against Atletico Madrid. Something is seriously wrong. Like, I hadn't heard of Kondogbia before tonight. I hadn't. But he made Pogba and Bruno tonight, Kevin, look ordinary.
And I think it probably sums up our problems, if anything. I think we know that we can come up probably half of the teams in the Premier League who will boast probably a better midfield pairing than us. And I didn't think it was... I think Pogba's been in great form recently. I didn't think he was great today. I think you're right to say about Bruno Fernandes, the likes of Fred. I mean, some of the stuff he does, sometimes you just have to scratch your head and, little 1-2s and the ball was out of play. And I'm like... Seriously, but we're used to it, aren't we? So in a way, it doesn't really surprise you at Manchester United. And it's one of the fundamental issues that needs addressing. Because as you rightly said at the start of the show, I think you raised the question, are the players not good enough or are we not ready at this stage? And personally, I think it's a mix of both. It's no doubt, like Jordan said, we've used our get out of jail free card this evening. It's quite staggering that we are still in this tie. It's still testament to Rangnick. He's made a positive change in Elanga. Marcus Rashford this evening, I thought was absolutely abysmal. I was actually surprised to see him put into the team. But we've really got away with one. And in this tie, it's finally poised at half time. But I can't help but think it could have been much, much worse this evening. We've had an injection of positivity, but again, too many players, for whatever reason. I mean, I was just reading before, Rangnick not happy with the players at all. So that certainly wouldn't have been part of the game plan this evening. You know what to expect from Atletico Madrid. They're going to be tough. And we've seen the football, the dark arts, didn't we? The Simeone dark arts this evening.
Yeah.
A lot of rolling about. They were
They play
targeting
how
Ronaldo.
he was like as a player.
Exactly, targeting Ronaldo and Bruno, and you knew that was going to happen. It's how you react to it. So the question is, and you look and you go, well, we do have players that are good enough for this stage, but I don't think we've been in this position, have we, since 2011 in the Champions League. So I'm like, right, okay, that's interesting. And it shows you how far we have fallen, that we've not progressed. And when you meet teams like this, you have to be streetwise. And that is one thing I would say that Manchester United are not at the minute, is streetwise to be able to go toe-to-toe with teams like this. And I know it sounds mad because people, Kev, we just drew 1-1 with Atletico Madrid. It's brilliant when you look at the scoreline on the screen down here or whatever, and you go, what a fantastic result. We'd have took it before the game, at half time. You would have snatched up, you would have gone, yep, Sam, I'll take 1-1 very gladly. But it was a difficult watch up to a certain stage of Mr. Elanga coming on and scoring that goal, which has totally tipped the balance of the tie. I'm just glad that obviously the next game or the return leg is at Old Trafford, because I think that gives us a huge lift.
It is, guys. But let me just ask. I was thinking about it while Mark was doing his reaction. What are we going to do different at home? What's going to change? Playing Bruno, Pogba, and a Fred or a McTominay in that midfield. We're still wide open in the middle in that midfield, and it takes two good, composed midfielders like they were set up to completely exploit us each and every time. And we were really, really lucky to nick that goal. But unless Rangnick's going to make those changes and drop your Rashfords,
he'll play McFred.
Yeah,
he'll play.
He's going to have to. He's going to have to.
He will.
He's going to have to.
I think that's what we would have done tonight as well if McTominay wasn't ill. And I was thinking about it, with if you wanted to do that sort of midfield, we could just go back to. I know you could say you want Elanga to start for the work rate, but you could play both of them, and then you just put Pogba at left wing, like what he played last season.
Yeah,
I think actually, Alex, you may have something there. Pogba, I know we all know Pogba is not a left winger. We all know that. However, Pogba, he's a very smart footballer, very high football IQ. Pogba, if he does play out wide, he will, and I've seen him do it many times. He can see instinctively when we're being overrun in midfield. He won't hold touchline. He will jump into midfield and then give you numbers in midfield to adjust the balance. I've seen him do it many, many times. So I would not be adverse to McFred playing in that middle to give us legs. I know where we're used to. Yeah, I know. That's the thing, Kevin. Where we're used to a second leg, the tie is in its balance to playing McFred in midfield to give us legs, put Pogba out in the left wing, and then to play a very, very talented 19-year-old on the right to supply our 37-year-old superstar with crosses. But I just want to tease it out. Would you start Pogba on the left, Elanga on the right, given you know what you're going to get from Elanga? He's clear. I watched his post-match interview. Very confident, very engaging. His body language, he's looking right at the camera. He's engaging with the interviewer. Very confident guy at 19. Maguire, on the other hand,
Sancho. You can't not start Sancho.
Give the opposite. When he's doing an interview. So I would not be adverse to starting Elanga on the right and then a toss-up between, on the left, Sancho or Pogba. I wouldn't be adverse to it, gentlemen.
I just think with both Sancho and Pogba, they're both too good to put on the bench. Like when they're playing at their best, you could make a case for, along with Bruno being like three of our best players. So Elanga, I wouldn't be adverse to him starting, but then it's just the conundrum of what we said about what you do with the midfield. We tried the midfield that without McTominay, that would be everyone's midfield. I assume unless someone wanted to bring Matic on, which I didn't think Matic was too bad. He held on to the ball better than some of them when he came on.
Matic played well for 20 minutes when he came on.
But that's the problem. That's all we can use him for, really, is 20 minutes. So, but he's still a good asset to have in a game like that to see out the game, like we saw tonight. But
Matic disintegrated across the season. We all used to say he's got one game a week in him, and he's now down to
20 minutes, 5 minutes.
And
But Jordan,
that's where we are.
With respect to Matic, I believe he's got more than 20 minutes in him.
25.
No. I think you've been a bit harsh. Like you put Matic into that midfield. Okay, I know we're talking Asian Matic vis-a-vis prime Matic, but he will be able to get on the ball and spray a pass and gel the younger players around him. And I think Matic is good for 60 minutes, 65 minutes, and then by all means bring on one of McFred for our formative legs. But has the manager got the courage to play an aging Matic in that midfield? I don't think he has.
It was his experience as well, which did where he feigned the injury at the end to kill off a few seconds and stuff, and he was smart with his passing.
That's what you need.
I love him as a
that's
player.
What you need.
Just wish, he'd literally be the most perfect signing for us to make, just a 5-year younger version of Matic, but so frustrating.
Yeah,
it's the bench.
I think the
bench at the minute is. Would anybody agree that the bench at the minute, compared to the start of the season, you'd look at that bench and think this is strong? And I know for whatever reason, Anthony Martial's left United, but you look at a game like that this evening and you think, his head on the game or whatever. And if you've got him to either start the match over Rashford, who's been abysmal, or even an option to bring off the bench. And I'm seeing the camera pan to the bench at one stage, and I thought they were warming Matter up or something. And I'm like, seriously, is this where we're at as Manchester United? And we're actually all sat here discussing whether McTominay would have made a difference in the energy room this evening. And I'm like, God, how far have we fallen, man?
Yeah,
even Donny van der Beek, it's like it's options in a massive Champions League game.
Somebody, at one point, Matter and Lingard were warming up. Yeah, I literally.
Yeah, Lingard. That's another one.
What has happened to us?
He starts against Leeds. Clearly, doesn't want to be at Manchester United, and he's getting another run out this evening as a substitute in the Champions League knockout game. And I'm like, what's going on?
We have Hannibal on the bench, and Hannibal's obviously a really good, bright talent for the future, but it's he's realistically never going to come on either. So he hasn't played a game for us yet, and for the senior team, I don't think off the top of my head, or if it has, it would just be a cameo. He hasn't had a start or anything. So it's like what you say, when you look at the bench, obviously we couldn't have foreseen the Greenwood stuff with Martial and stuff, but you could have foreseen one of the front players getting injured so that we would be left this light up top. But I guess he just had faith in Elanga, which when you've seen it rightly so. But with the midfield,
Cavani's the main one. You cannot rely on Cavani. Do you know what I mean? He's at the boxing at the weekend. Oh, he's not fit enough to play. But we know that's Cavani. You signed him knowing he's injury prone, so you can't really even rely on him to be a backup to Ronaldo, because if something happens to Ronaldo this evening, how do you change that?
I think he'll be back in training now, so we just need to just get him ready. Just ignore the Premier League games with Cavani and just try to get him ready for this game. He probably won't start. Ronaldo will start, but to have him as someone to come in and just give us at 100% for 30 minutes or something, I think he could be an asset.
He would have loved that game this evening. That's a Cavani game.
Yeah. Agreed.
The battle.
I tell you what, you talk about options on bench. Sorry, Jay, just quickly.
Go ahead.
The commentator was like, "Oh yeah, Griezmann's warming up." I was like, "What?"
Griezmann, Suarez
must be nice. I remember the days we were like that. It is crazy, and it's fact that we watch these games now, and at no point do I think someone on the bench is going to win this for us. We can bring someone on to win it for us. Literally, we are so thin on the ground.
But if you look,
I'm so glad you raised the bench, because our depth chart right now on the bench is about as deep as a puddle. Literally, we don't have a bench. Griezmann came on and he hit the post on the 86th minute. And tonight, if you recall, Atleti hit the post twice. Atleti should have won the game. Let's be fair. And I'm delighted you raised Griezmann off the bench. Who do we have on that bench? Now, we had a decent Dutch lad, but unfortunately, he's playing for Everton right now. And he would have been saucy on the bench tonight, would he not? Come in, sitting the ball, knocks some passes around, big engine. But no, he wasn't played, disrespected by 2 sets of managers, and he's off now at Everton. So we no doubt have a weaker depth chart on the bench now than we had in August. But that
then
is
in
on
December even.
But that's on two sets of managers and on the board. Radnick wanted Lingard gone. He's still here. I'd rather play any under 23 than play Lingard personally, because seriously, it makes my blood boil every time I see Lingard come onto that pitch, because he shouldn't be there. And after anything social media putting up stuff in West Ham jerseys, sorry, but I don't want him on the pitch. So it goes back to my question, gentlemen: how much power does Radnick actually have? Lingard is still there. He didn't get a CDM. He can drop Harry Maguire. Okay, can't. And to Kevin's point about Cavani, like we all last season, every one of us on the show, apart from Ricky probably, waxed lyrical about Edison Cavani. Every bloody one of us. Cavani wanted out. He wanted to go to Barcelona. We all know that. He was convinced to stay. And now that he's convinced to stay, he's fit 1 week, he's injured the next. Sorry, but for me, gentlemen, I think Cavani's checked out.
Yeah. He has. And you know, again, the club need to put their foot down. If players are injured, that, you know, going to social occasions like the boxing and stuff like that, I know they have to have lives outside of football and stuff, but it is sour, guys. It
doesn't look
really
great.
sour. No,
Agreed.
It really doesn't.
Agreed.
Same for me with players who are injured and they're out like cozying up to Salt Bay in Dubai. Like it's not right. This, you know, there's a way to conduct yourself, and I think it's because we've grown up as United fans under such a regime with Sir Alex, and one thing after another just seems to have unraveled at this club, that it just seems to be a free for all now, and it is literally social media FC. The club are happy that they're you know, high-fiving Salt Bay in Dubai because it draws attention to them for when they post training kits. So yeah, no, it is sad. But back to Cavani, yeah, unfortunately, I think he has checked out, which is something that should have crossed people's minds when they made the decision to let Martial go.
But it just sparks back to very poor decision making on behalf of the board. And to your point about social media, listen, we're all in agreement. Like, it'd be interesting to see now after tonight how many tweets the club would put out after tonight's fantastic 1-1 away win against the mighty Atletico Madrid. They're languishing 5th in La Liga. And La Liga, it's not La Liga of 5-10 years ago when Barcelona and Real Madrid were European superpowers. But lo and behold, they used this game tonight to engage massive traction. And unfortunately, modern day fans, they thrive on attraction. And cue then on Friday, you'll probably have the winning team from the 7 side, and you'll probably have Marcus and Maguire high-fiving because, you know, the club has to push the English players. They have to. The English players are pushed all the time. But I would argue, gentlemen, listen, it's not because I'm Irish, but I would argue that the English players right now at the club are the worst and most underperforming players at the club. Sancho and Elanga.
I was about to say the player of the month for this month. Where's he from again?
Exactly. So I'm arguing right now, guys, that the English players, aside from Sancho and Elanga, right now are the most underperforming players at the club. But they're the ones that will not be dropped and play every week.
Alanga's Swedish, by the way, but I thought he was English as well, but he's Swedish. But yeah, no, they are.
Alex, thank you for that. Thank you very much for that.
It's
late. It's late.
When he first burst onto the scene, I put a tweet out about him being English as well, because he sounds English. Because I assume he grew up.
He does. So the only performing English player we have right now is Sancho, whom the previous manager spent 73 million on and barely played.
And signed him as a right winger, and then we just play him on the left wing now. And I'm not complaining because he does do well on the left wing, but it just means that we go into another summer needing a right winger again.
So to my question, are our English players the most underperforming players right now at the club? To 3 Englishmen. Sorry, 2 Englishmen and 1 Welshman.
Who's the Welshman?
Who's Welsh?
So I was thinking that. Did Dan James come back to the club?
Well, I tell you.
Do you mean McTominay?
Yeah. No, he's Scotty. He's Scotty.
Don't put him in my country. Don't stick him in my country.
No, that's what I'm saying. McTominay's Scottish. Who do you mean with Welsh? We had Dan James and he left.
No, I'm referring to right now in front of me. I've got 2 Englishmen and a Welshman.
Oh, right.
That's what I'm referring to. I know, Alex. I know it's late, mate. Keep up. So please answer the goddamn question.
Well,
Jesus, I know it's
with
late.
regards to your question, because Shaw as well. Like Shaw actually going forward hasn't been too terrible, but defensively he's been all over the shop. I don't know like what's happened with him as well, but it's like all 3 of them, like I've said already on the show, they're capable of playing a lot better than this, and they have played a lot better than this in the past, but it's not like it's been a month of bad form for all 3 of them. It's been, in Rashford's case, it's been a year and a half of bad form. In Maguire and Shaw's case, it's been the whole season's worth of bad form. I know I keep like going on about it, but like at the end of last season and going into the Euros, them 2 were absolutely brilliant at the Euros. They were both like 2 of the best players at the tournament. I don't understand how, obviously international football is completely different. You get a lot more time on the ball and stuff like that. But to be such opposite ends of the scale is like insane. Because even if you just take the international football out of it and just do how they played for United, Shaw was really good last season, and didn't he win one of the Player of the Year awards? Or am I getting my years mixed up? I'm pretty sure last year he did, didn't he? Like one of the fans won, or the players won?
Someone in chat would know.
I'm pretty sure he did with Shaw. And then Maguire, obviously, like people were saying, like how we could have done better in the Europa League final, potentially win it if he is, because of how important he was. And he hasn't been doing it as much this season, but when he's playing to his best, when he takes the ball out from the back and it like overloads the midfield and attack. But they've just both, Maguire more so than Shaw, but become like a liability this season. And like Tellers, I thought when he came on, I don't know why he randomly got dropped. I know he had COVID, but he's been back for a few games now and he doesn't seem to be getting him. But I thought he did really good. That one insane bit of skill that he did when he came on, where he knocked around that player and then no one was there for the cross. But that was absolutely brilliant. And I hope now Tellers gets to run of games again. But we've discussed with Maguire, it's going to be an ongoing issue because people can say it's like a conspiracy theory or whatever, but there's no way that these managers keep playing him in this form unless it's because of the price tag or the captaincy.
Kevin, are our English starlets the worst players at the club right now?
I suppose you can't really argue against it, can you? I think it's quite fitting of the old regime that 130 million was spent on Harry Maguire and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And Wan-Bissaka he really has to pull his socks up. And I would argue with a lot of them, the likes of Rashford and that none of them have actually progressed. I think that's the worrying thing. Luke Shaw has never been the same since the Euros, seems to be going backwards. Harry Maguire is Harry Maguire. You know, you don't know what you're getting from week to week with him. Jesse Lingard, English player. Again, I've put him down with the sombrero on, the flip-flops, the inflatable crocodile under the arm. He's checked out. Him and Cavani are just like waiting to go. And yeah, you could label it as being the English players. I don't know whether that's quite unfair or anything, but I suppose, when you're looking at it, it does make sense. You look at it and go, I can see it. But you're talking about potentially your left back, right back, and centre back. Huge question marks over the 3 of them in Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, and Maguire. But as we've stated before, why is Wan-Bissaka not immune from it? Because 50 million is still a lot of money, but he's not necessarily thrown into the team every week. It's 30 million more or whatever for Harry Maguire, but it's that armband, isn't it? It's that thing around his arm for me. I think that's what's getting him in.
Yeah, it
Jordan,
is. But
in your business, right? You've got 4 or 5 well-paid staff. You've put them into 5 key roles. They're not meeting their KPIs for you. They're not meeting what you've agreed was targets. What do you do? in business?
You've got to pull him in, haven't you? You've got to speak to him and find out what the issue is, and if it continually happens, then you've got to be big enough to make a change. I just think that with Ollie was never going to do it because that was Ollie's marquee signing at 80 million. I think
Agreed.
it's on the next manager that comes in that's here to stay, to put his mark on the team, to pick his captain, someone that he trusts, his leader on the pitch. And, very much like with Mourinho had Fellaini was his guy on the pitch. That was the guy he used to go, he would go to. Not Fellaini, Moyes would go to. Similar with Mourinho, with Matic and people like that. You have players on the pitch that are your guys. And it's for the new manager to come in and to make that decision. But I think judging by how he's playing and with the armbands and the effect that it's having on the rest of the team, the manager that comes in has to make that decision. It's not a case of, well, let's give him half a season and see how he gets on. They have to make that from the offset.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. There was a point that we raised off air that right now, Mr. Antonio Conte is not very, very happy at Spurs. I think, Jordan, you have the quote there somewhere in your notes. You can read for the fans. Like last May, I got vilified on Twitter and by a lot of people in the free chat that I said Solskjaer's a clown, should be sacked, and Conte should be the manager. And right now, Conte has said, "What? I'm used to dealing with winners. I don't believe in top four." So, do you think, hypothetically, and it goes to you as well, Kevin and Alex, Conte walks away from Spurs into the season, would you have him? It's a question. Anybody? Open floor.
All right. Well, look, guys, can I just jump in and say something about that? So Conte is kicking off. First of all, I don't know what he expected was going to happen to Spurs. They were never going to go out and spend 150, 200 million in January. And given the circumstances, they actually spent more money than us in January. So he would have been gone Feb 1st if he was at United. So for me, the writing is on the wall. It wasn't the right decision to have brought him in.
I would obviously everyone wants Ten Hag and I want Ten Hag as well. But if we're not going to get Ten Hag, then I would of course take Conte in a heartbeat. Like, we can't let the Spurs thing to drag you down too much of what a brilliant manager he is. And I've said that the issue with United always in the past is that we've brought in these brilliant managers like Jose, like Van Gaal, but we've brought them when they're already past their best. People will now try to argue that Conte's past his best, but a few bad months at Spurs is not past your best when you have that squad apart from two obviously world-class players, but the rest of it I find really, really ordinary. But with he came into obviously that Inter side and then completely, I know he did spend a lot of money, but he did transform them into a team that weren't really doing anything in the league to now winning the league. And now he left the team, like, the argument is, oh, look at the mess he leaves behind every time. He walked out on Inter and they're top of the league at the moment again. So he built a good team, and he has the sort of players at United, I think, that he really could do something with. So in a heartbeat, I would take him. But with that said, the board had a chance to sign him after Ollie and they didn't. So I don't see them suddenly growing a backbone now, because especially now if he's openly criticising Spurs board, it seems they're going to see that and be like, we can't have like the Glazers or whatever criticised in public. So like we saw it happen when Jose used to do it. So they just fear too much. Like Jose clearly emotionally damaged them and they don't want it. That's why they went in again.
I love it.
They were like petrified of dealing with Jose, and they just feel like that's why I think it's Jordan. You're the one that says you want Simeone, right? It would be the same thing. They'd be petrified. You saw him on the halfway line in the technical area today. You think the Glazers or like any of our board are going to be willing to deal with a character like that? And Conte's a similar sort of personality.
They're not. But Conte's statement today is absolutely brilliant.
Read it, Jordan, if you have it in front of you.
Read it again. I need to talk to the club. Tottenham have made an assessment about the club. Need to make an assessment about the club and about me. We need to find the best solution. I can't accept to just keep losing. I'm sorry.
He's a winner though, saying stuff like that.
Here, coaches change, but players are always the same, but the results don't change.
Now, Jordan
says Spurs being Spurs.
That's the perfect segue, because I'm going to go to Kevin Ashford next, because Kevin will remember what Roy Keane said in his autobiography. Roy Keane said in his biography, his pre-match team talk in Spurs was, and I quote, "It's effing Spurs." So Spurs' the current debacle, Kevin, is no reflection on Conte. It's a reflection on bloody Spurs. So would you, hypothetically speaking, in the summer, Conte gives Dan Levy the fingers, the old double fingers, Kevin, as you would do. Would you take him at United? Even though, as Alex said, the board, they're emotionally distraught or damaged after Mourinho. That's the core of the night. That's the core of the night. Kevin, would you?
I'm going to be a bit Boris Johnson here and sort of swerve the question and then set my own agenda here and say, if you were offering me Poch or Conte, I would 100% take Conte. If you're asking me, would I just take Conte? I've laid my table out and I want to go down the Ten Hag route. Would it be interesting, Conte at Manchester United? You bet it would be. I think he's the modern day, a bit like Mourinho in his prime. And the thing that worries me with that is United, like Alex has rightly said, we've gone down the Van Gaal route, who was just flat out drinking red wine and calling out, he was calling out people in press conferences. He was calling out journalists, calling them
you
fat
man.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is it? From the PR, which we have to talk about, PR perspective of Manchester United, it was one of the worst nightmares. And then they go back on that by appointing Mourinho. It's like, what? Seriously? That is straight out the kettle and into the frying pan. It's like, right, okay. So for me, I think United, they'll always look at this now. And I think they want somebody to represent the club who can obviously speak well on that. And you know what Conte is like. I love the fact he's so demanding of his players. He's certainly called anybody out who's not up for training, who's not singing from the same hymn sheet, but it's how much damage he might actually do. I think we're already damaged as a club at Manchester United, and maybe sending Conte in might, I don't know, is that what we need? It's a bit like it's like throwing a ticking time bomb into that dressing room, but maybe that's what we need. Go on.
I was going to say, you guys all go on about Maguire and having a manager that would be brave enough to drop Maguire. You think Conte would come in and stand for Maguire?
Let me give you another one then. Conte's on the touchline and you've got Darren Fletcher man marking him up and down the box. That ain't going to end well either. So I think it's best that we leave Conte for now.
Well, that's where you're at with Conte. I mean, you could imagine Conte on the sideline going head-to-head with Darren Fletcher, probably saying, who the hell are you? Pointing in his face, wagging the old finger and saying, who are you? Who is this lapdog that keeps following me around?
He wouldn't let Fletcher even be in the staff area anyway. He'd have his own
he'd
staff.
have his own staff, wouldn't he?
100%. He wouldn't stand for that.
The main thing is Manchester United, they would have to be... I always remember Sir Bobby Charlton coming out and saying that Manchester United would never appoint Mourinho. Mm-hmm. I never thought we'd see Mourinho. Unfortunately, we got the one towards the end of his career. Conte would need a ball of money, which I think United probably would back him with. But as Alex quite rightly says, long-term wise, you might get, 3 years out of Conte. But is that where we're at now with managers? Are we so obsessed with looking at the Sir Alex Ferguson era, other managers like Wenger and that, where you look and think it's 10 years? And I don't think you're going to get that anymore. And the Chelsea model, whether you like it or not, I've said before, you look at it and go, changing managers every 1-2 years or whatever they do. It's been successful for them and they have won trophies. And is that modern day football now where you look and go, right, well, do you know what? Maybe we do need to move away with this. We're lost in this kind of Sir Alex Ferguson, 26 years and that. You're never, ever going to see the likes of that again in football. Some managers are lucky to go, we've had 3 years of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which was probably too long on reflection. But yeah, maybe we look at it now and go, if you need a stopgap manager like that in Conte, who's going to come in and certainly let fireworks off in the dressing room, then go for it. Yeah?
Guys, I think Kevin is spot on what he said. I think that dressing room does need a firecracker to be thrown in there, just to wake the players up. Tonight, guys, for 80 minutes, they were lifeless. They were listless. They weren't at the races. Champions League away in Madrid, and the players, they weren't trying to leg. Connor's on the sideline, screaming at and bollocking you every minute, every second. You will run, you'll track back your 5-second balls. How they're not doing for Ralph is beyond me. I don't get that. Okay, he doesn't strike me as a personality that's going to go in at half time and give them a bollocking. I don't strike me as that. That's his personality. He's very, very measured, very calm, and very structured in his comments at halftime, pre-match, and post-match. But maybe the players need to kick up the hole, to quote an Irish expression. I don't see the club hiring Conte. It's a good discussion to have, and I enjoyed having it. I don't see him hiring Conte when he gives Spurs the two fingers, because they are so social media driven and orientated. And after Van Gaal giving more entertaining press conferences and football, they want a manager that they can control in press conferences, and ultimately we'll get them top four, and it'll keep the money rolling in, keep the dividends trickling down each year, and keep the share price intact. That's the kind of manager they want. So they will not risk a manager like Conte literally and throw the baby out with the bathwater. Guys, I want to move on now for the last couple of minutes. Watford at the weekend. Confident? Jordan, Watford weekend, you confident?
To be honest, I'm not confident any game this season, given our recent track record. However, they got battered tonight, didn't they, by Palace? Was it Palace that beat them?
I think it was, yeah, they did.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think we'll be all right, just because we're not as shit as they are, basically. So I think we'll be okay. I think I put them in the Leeds bracket, and I think we'll roll them over. So I am confident. 3-1.
So basically, you're saying that we are a lesser shade of shit than Watford. That's basically what you're saying, Jordan, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Palace tonight beat Watford 4-1. I have it here. 4-1 tonight. Alex, Watford at the weekend. Thoughts? We should win. On paper, we should win. But on paper, we should be beating all these. I suppose I'm not being disingenuous towards Watford, but we should be beating them. Of course, we should. It's the Man Cities, the Arsenal, Liverpools that we should be worried about. But as Jordan pointed out, we're worried about every team right now.
Yeah, but it is quite deceptive. I know, like, with how we've been playing and stuff, it seems like we've been doing really bad. But we're on now the longest unbeaten run in the whole Premier League. I just saw the stat before this game.
Okay.
And under Rangnick, only City and I think Liverpool might have got one more point than us, but only City and Liverpool have got more points than us since Rangnick's come in. So I know it seems all doom and gloom, but the results actually... I know the performances have been bad until recently. Okay, today was a blip, but before that, we have been playing much better recently since we swapped to 4-3-3, like me and you had been calling for in the past. But the results, like if you compare them to the other teams around us, we are actually not doing as bad as it would seem. So, famous last words, but at home against a team like Watford, you would expect us to be winning that comfortably. Obviously, we're going to concede because we always concede, but. Apart from that, I'm fully confident. I predict like 3-1.
I think the only thing, Al, is that since we've gone to the 4-3-3, it's the quality of the teams we've played.
Yeah, true.
I think March is a whole different can of worms.
But then again, like with that, like obviously we played City and Liverpool and got spanked, and so then when we went against Chelsea, we were expecting the same thing to happen, and we got rid of Ollie, got Carrick in, and then we should have, if it wasn't for that one Bissaka stupid mistake, we should have got out of Stamford Bridge with a win. So you never know. And we're gonna see a lot because we haven't seen Ralph play anyone. I guess today you could say. Atletico are a good team, but I mean, in terms of like the cream of the crop, like Chelsea, Liverpool, City, we haven't seen him play any of those high-level teams yet. So we'll understand a lot more what he's all about after this month.
Yeah,
that's a great point, Alex. Because barring Atletico Madrid, who are fifth in La Liga, since Ralph came in, we've played nobody of note. I know the stats are in his favour. Agreed. And the stats will gloss over poor performances. Agreed. Yes. And as Jordan pointed out, it is what happens in March. And that is going to be what we're going to judge Ralph on. What happens in March? We judge him what happens against Man City and against Liverpool. And Kevin, that's where Ralph really will earn his corn. If he can scam 2-0-0s or 2-1-1s against City and Liverpool, you take them right now, Kevin, wouldn't you?
Easily, mate. And you say that on the Watford game. I actually would go as far as to say it's probably a must-win game. And as funny as that sounds, it's because you look at Spurs tonight, Spursy, totals, whatever, just Spurs all over, isn't it?
Spurs.
They can go to the Etihad, beat City 3-2, and then get beat by Burnley in the week. It's like, right, okay. Now, if United want to cement or show their interest in the top four, for me, they have to win on Saturday. And the merry month of March, you look at that, as you quite rightly just said, you've got Manchester City away. We've got the Atletico game thrown in there as well. We've got Spurs at home and Liverpool away towards the end of the season. And the worry is that really the City and the Liverpool game, really, isn't it? So that's why I think we have to get three points on the board this weekend to, I wouldn't say cement our position, but certainly to strengthen it. Arsenal have got the games in hand. Wolves look to be playing well. And that's where we're at the minute. We have to be looking at that and try to win as many points as we can because City and Liverpool, like you say, this is where Rangnick's got to earn his corn. And I'm sure at halftime this evening, not a lot of people would have looked and thought we were going to get away with a 1-1 draw this evening. So funnier things have happened.
No, Kevin, I would be lying if I said at halftime I thought we go out and get a 1-1. I don't think we deserve a draw. I think I won't say Atletico plays off the park, but with 2 chances hitting the post, I think Atletico deserve their win. And I hope somebody clips up what you said there, Kevin, the merry month of March, just around the corner. And then that is what, Jordan and Alex, our season shall depend on. Those key games, Spurs, Liverpool, and Man City, and obviously Atleti again. Season hinges on that, and that's obviously what we shall judge Ralph on.
100%. I think that when you look at it, like that, the game at Anfield is the main one I'm looking at. That's going to be really hard. Our record at City, surprisingly, like when we've been playing them recently over the last few years, it seems to be better when we're at the Etihad than when we're at Old Trafford against them. So we're capable, and like when this team plays to its strengths and are actually in form, our style of play is actually good against Cities. But the issue is like the sort of players that have been good in the past with that. Martial wasn't here. Rashford has been a good player against them in the past. He's woefully out of form. You could say Sancho actually with his style of play would actually be a good player against City, and then Alanga potentially as well. So I'm not as nervous about the City game, and I think Spurs with the form they're in, that we should be beating them, and Atletico I think we should be beating them as well. So it's just that Liverpool game at Anfield is the one that I'm really worried about as well, because it seems like they're back in the title hunt and we just can't have them win the league again to draw level with 20.
Yeah, that would be a very dark day for every Red fan all over Ireland, and obviously for the Red of Manchester. Guys, before we go, give everybody your social handles, and they can give you a follow and have the banter with you on Twitter. I know Alex loves a good Twitter argument. Alex, what's Twitter?
AA_UTD.
Jordan.
Twitter at Jordan Valleys, Instagram at Jordan Valleys UK.
And Kev, tell the fans what they want to hear. Where are you?
The fans. At Kevin Ashford 7 on the Twitter and Instagram, Kevin Ashford 7. No trolls, no DMs. Or no dodgy DMs.
Now you've been told, right? None of you start sending any dodgy stuff onto Kevin's DMs. He doesn't like it, and neither do I, incidentally. Guys, before I go, I just want to use this time to give a shout out to one of our long-time watchers, a gentleman called Mike Fergus. 3 years ago on Sunday, Mike had an aortic valve repair that basically saved his life. And during his recovery, he was watching Mark and us on United Stand regularly. So he dropped me a DM and asked me if I give him a shout out. So I said, Mike, you're watching. Have a good night. We got the win. It's half time. There's 9 minutes to go. And who knows, we might scam a 1-0 in Manchester in a few weeks' time and send Atleti packing back to Madrid. Guys, I've been Jay Daly. You've had Jordan, you've had Alex, and you've had Mr. Kevin Ashford. Finally, a stand where we're upbeat, we're happy. It's a draw, and we take the 1-1 every day of the week. See you on Saturday. Good night, everybody.